Hi, today I'll be wrapping up all the books I read in April as well as May. But first, before I go into that, I haven't really been reading much lately, and um, it's making me feel a type of way. Reasons for that is that my mind is just like all over the place, but I think it's just being on YouTube as well, and the algorithm obviously suggesting mostly book content where I see people reading like 100 books a month as well as or maybe 40 plus books a month. Sometimes that creates a complex, and on top of that I haven't been reading critically because my mind is elsewhere. But yeah, it is what it is. It's just books at the end of the day as well. And before the sun runs, let's get into it. The first book I finished, I think I started this in March and late March, and then I finished in April or early May, was Grown Ups by Marian. As I mentioned in my tier ranking Marian books, I mean video, I knew that I would enjoy this. And basically this follows the Casey family, which consists of like a lot of people. So we have the coupled people and then their children as well, and we have another set of children from a previous marriage, and this family spends a lot of time together. So whether it's birthday parties or vacations, and they have a lot of issues and there's a lot of drama, and I love drama. And I generally love contemporary fiction as well as women's fiction, and I knew I would love this. One particular bit that I really loved in this book was a budding romance between these two characters. One was like 22 years old, and then the other one was in a marriage, and she was like 29 going on 30. And I really like how Marian didn't really pathologize that relationship, because there are rightful criticism of like age gap relationships, but like the way that we treat it, and I include myself here, but I'm starting to unlearn that bit, as inherently predatory without taking into account people's choices and people's desires, is sometimes like funky. And I mean, there are rightful criticisms of age gap relationships, specifically those ones that are like very predatory. But yeah, I really like that. And there's another character who is sick with bulimia, and I love how Marian Keyes talks about disordered eating in all of her books, and I think that she did a really good job here. And yeah, man, I love this book a lot. It's very entertaining. Once I started getting to it, I did not want to like leave. Basically, it has a family tree, so it's thick as you can see. And then another book that I read was Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne, which is a romance. Sally Thorne mostly writes romance, and this follows Ruthie, a 25-year-old woman who works in a retirement village, and her work is basically her life. uh, Early on in the book, she meets this guy called Teddy Prescott, who's tattooed, very carefree. Later learns that his family is going to buy the retirement village where she works, which causes a lot of anxieties. But budding a romance soon comes up. And yeah, I think Sally Thorne knows how to write chemistry really, really well, and I really enjoy how she does that. But most of her books fall flat in the third act, and it's becoming tiring now, because where is the romance? Where is the actual conflict with meat? And on top of that, neither the main characters or secondary characters had a lot of development, and I didn't really buy into whatever was happening in this book, to be honest. Yeah. And another romance that also disappointed me was Say Yes to the Duke by Eloisa James, which is following Viola, who just had her London debut, and she has these dreams where she'll marry this reserved vicar so that she doesn't really have to participate in polite society because she's really, really shy. That doesn't happen because the Duke of Winter comes and kind of pursues her and woos her. I stopped reading this book when it came to the sex scene, and The writer described the Duke of Winter's penis as wood, and I was like, no. There's this other podcast called Another Round, which was hosted by Tracy and Heaven, and they had Roxanne Gay in this one episode, and Roxanne was talking about how she likes the word cock, and I was like, I hate that. And at some point I was like, I would have preferred that in this book rather than wood. Yeah, yeah. It took me out, and I stopped reading because I can. And then another book that I read was Kindred by Octavia Butler. I listened to this on audiobook, and I will also write the person who narrated it, who was really, really brilliant, somewhere here. And this is following a 26-year-old Dana who is pulled back in time into the antebellum South, where she rescues this young white boy, and every time he's in trouble, she gets pulled into the past, where soon they kind of have like this relationship, and we see both of their growth through time. Dana's coming from 1976 to the 1800s, and so you can see the differences, and this boy is calling her the N-word, and he's coming from a family of plantation owners, therefore they own slaves, and he becomes a slaver himself at some point. And I think that this book has a lot of really, really great themes surrounding like slavery, morality, and interpersonal relationships, but I didn't really enjoy it. And yeah, I was kind of, it's a solid book, but it didn't move me in any way. And I was really, really excited to read an Octavia Butler book, but yeah, ultimately it's a book, and yeah. And then another book that I read, and I'm going to reread again so that I can have like a comprehensive book review, was koleka Putuma's Hello, Koko. Hello, bye bye, Koko, come in, which is titled after Brenda Fassie's song. And this book kind of is focusing on citing Black women, as well as writing Black women back into canon. And I immediately bought it as soon as koleka Putuma announced that they had it coming out. And I didn't really enjoy the first part, which is Hello, because it was really uncertain, and there were legit are like backspaces where the author is talking about backspace because they are trying to write back, as I mentioned, Black women to canon, and talking about like the process of being a celebrated Black woman in South Africa when you're not really given any capital or support, and the structures around the country. And obviously we can't talk about this book without talking about misogyny and etc, etc. And yeah, it's really, really good, and you could see specific themes or subjects emerging from Collective Amnesia, the first collection that koleka Putuma published, in here, and I really enjoyed that. And I also enjoy how simple and confrontative it is, and yeah, it's really it's really, really good, as you can see. And then another book that I read was Days with Frog and Toad by Arnold Lobel. This is a children's book for children who are learning to read, and I told my sister that she should read it with my nephew because it's really, really good, and it's really fun. Basically about these amphibians who are friends, and we have Frog, who is the more stable friend in the relationship, whereas Toad is sometimes struggles, and easy for Toad to like kind of give up and everything like that, but he has this really supportive friend, and I love it. I read it when I was feeling like a bit moody and down, and it lifted my spirits up. It's really, really an assuring book, and if you have any little children in your life, I highly recommend this, or for yourself. And then the last thing is that I am currently reading so many things, but I'm going to focus on The Old Drift by Namwali Serpell, which in the blurb says that it's following these three families, Zambian families. I'm still like on like page 120, so I've only like met two main characters, which are the grandmothers, and it has a family tree as well because yeah, it is a bit complicated. I'm kind of bored at the moment because I really don't know what's happening, and I don't know what genre this book is. But I've heard good things about it, as well as the fact that I've read Namwali Serpell's essay on BuzzFeed as well, about her sister, and then they also had another essay published on the New York Times. And yeah, I hate the New York Times, but that essay was really good, which was about like black vaginas and everything. And yeah, it's really, really good, the essay. Not sure how I feel about the book. I'm hoping that it's one of those books which are really, really hard, but there's like great payoff at the end. The text is small as well, and I seem to just be complaining now. So let us say goodbye, and I will see you when I see you. I always think of Fantasia every time I say that. So yeah, I'll see you. Bye.